true wealth never begins in your bank account. It begins in your mind. This is the core conviction of Socrate Mind, the modern mentor who has taken the torch from the great thinkers of abundance and updated ancient wisdom for the 21st century. To him, the real 1% are not merely those who possess the most money. They are those who have mastered a precise philosophy of money, a mental discipline that anyone, starting from zero, can adopt. The first and most fundamental principle of Socrate Mind is this: money is a servant, never a master. Ordinary people chase money. Extraordinary people arrange their lives so that money chases them. How? By cultivating a radically different relationship with value, time, and decision-making. Socrate Mind teaches that the very first step is to change the question you ask yourself every single day. Instead of, how can I make more money? Ask, how can I become the kind of person money naturally flows toward? The millionaires and billionaires he has studied do not waste time hunting for financial hacks. They work relentlessly on their inner identity. They already see themselves as magnets for wealth. That identity is built on three unbreakable pillars: absolute clarity of vision, absolute emotional discipline, and absolute faith in one's own ability to create massive value. Without these three pillars, no technical strategy survives the test of time. The second revolutionary teaching is the law of conscious specialization. The 1% never scatter their energy across 10 different projects. They pick one single arena and decide to become world-class in it. They understand that massive wealth is not the result of luck. It is the mathematical consequence of a rare skill combined with rare value delivered to a large number of people. Socrate Mind repeats endlessly: find the problem you were born to solve, then become the person who solves it better than anyone else on earth. Once you enter the top 1% of your chosen field, money becomes an inevitable byproduct. The third game-changing concept is what he calls mental predominance. Money follows attention. Whatever you obsess over mentally eventually manifests in your bank balance. Broke people think about what they lack. Wealthy people think about what they're going to create next. Socrate Mind prescribes a deceptively simple daily exercise. Every morning for 10 minutes, close your eyes and visualize with surgical precision the exact lifestyle you desire. Feel it as if it is already real. Then ask yourself one question: what single action today moves me measurably closer to that reality? This is not wishful thinking. It is deliberate subconscious programming, the same method used by the greatest athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs in history. Finally, Socrate Mind insists on surrounding your mind with elite-level influences. He calls it the invisible council. Even if you don't yet have physical access to millionaires, devour their books, dissect their interviews, study their decisions as if you were their apprentice. Your brain will adopt their patterns. This is exactly how people who started with nothing ended up thinking, acting, and earning like the 1%. Socrate Mind has distilled the entire financial operating system of the ultra-wealthy into 7 non-negotiable laws, 7 commandments that the 1% treat as sacred scripture while the 99% treat as optional suggestions. Ignore any one of them, and you sentence yourself to a lifetime of chasing money instead of having money chase you. Master all 7, and financial freedom becomes mathematically inevitable. Law 1. Pay yourself first, and pay yourself like a king. The masses wait until the end of the month after rent, Netflix, restaurants, and impulse purchases to see what's left for saving. Usually nothing. The 1% reverse the entire equation. From a moment money enters their ecosystem, 40% to 70% is automatically diverted into wealth-building assets before they even see it. The remaining 30 to 60% is what they generously allow themselves to live on. This is not a budgeting trick. It is a complete identity shift. You're no longer an employee who gets paid and then spends. You're a corporation whose primary shareholder, you, gets paid first and lavishly. Socrate Mind is brutal on this point. As long as you live on 100% of your income and invest the crumbs, you are not an investor. You are a consumer with a hobby. The moment you flip the ratio, Money stops being something you spend and starts being something that multiplies while you sleep. Law 2. Never mix consumption money with creation money. Average people see a raise or a bonus and immediately upgrade their lifestyle. Bigger car, bigger apartment, fancier watch. They reward themselves with liabilities that bleed cash every month. The 1% have a strict firewall. They only buy luxury with house money, profits generated by their assets, never with earned income. Elon Musk could buy a new Tesla every day with Tesla dividends and salary. Instead, he lives relatively modestly and lets his ownership of companies pay for everything. The yacht, the jet, the watches, all purchased with dividends, rental income, or capital gains, never with the money he needs to stay alive. This single rule is why the rich get richer even when they appear to spend extravagantly. Their toys pay for themselves and often appreciate. Law 3. Compound interest is the true eighth wonder of the world. Socrate Mind loves the story of two brothers. Brother A invests €300 a month from age 20 to 30, only 10 years, at 12% average annual return, then stops contributing entirely. Brother B waits until age 30 and invests €1,000 a month for the next 30 years. At age 60, Brother A has over €7 million. Brother B has less than €2 million. The difference? Brother A gave compound interest 20 extra years to work its magic. This is not theory, it is mathematics. The 1% obsess over starting early and never interrupting the compounding machine, even if the amounts seem laughably small at first. Law 4. Diversify income streams, but concentrate effort. Studies show the average millionaire has 7 different income streams. Most people read that and immediately try to launch 7 businesses at once. Disaster. The correct order is crucial. Master one stream until it runs without you. Then use the profits and confidence from that victory to build the second, then the third. Socrate Mind calls this serial mastery. Real estate first, then a scalable online business, then dividend stocks, then private lending, each new stream built on the cash flow and knowledge of the previous one. Concentration of effort creates the first river. Intelligent diversification turns it into an ocean. Law 5. Use debt as rocket fuel, never as a crutch. The poor and middle class fear debt. The 1% worship good debt. They will gladly borrow €10 million at 4% to buy an apartment building that returns 10% cash on cash, plus appreciation. The spread between the cost of debt and the return on the asset is pure profit created out of thin air. Consumer debt, credit cards, car loans, personal loans, is financial cancer. Investment debt, when used on cash-flowing assets, is financial steroids. The difference between the two mindsets is the difference between a €30,000 car that depreciates and a €300,000 property that pays you every month while it appreciates. Law 6. Protect capital like a lion protects its cubs. The mathematics of loss are merciless. Lose 50% and you need a 100% gain just to break even. The 1% are paranoid about capital preservation. They would rather earn a steady 8% for 40 years than swing for 40% home runs and risk catastrophic drawdowns. Warren Buffett's first rule, never lose money. His second rule, never forget rule number 1. Socrate Mind teaches that the graveyard of wealth is filled with people who got greedy during bubbles and gave back decades of gains in months. Slow and steady doesn't just win the race. It compounds into dynastic wealth. Law 7. Give strategically to multiply exponentially. This is the most counterintuitive law, yet the one the ultra-wealthy follow most religiously. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Mackenzie Scott all give away billions and somehow end up with more. Money is energy. Hoard it and it stagnates. Circulate it with intention and it returns amplified. Socrate Mind instructs his students to give away a full 10% of all income from day one, not out of guilt or charity, but as the ultimate abundance mindset hack. The subconscious message you send to your brain is, I have so much that I can easily give away 10% and still grow. The universe has a funny way of proving you right. Follow these 7 laws with religious consistency, And you do not merely improve your finances. You step into an entirely different financial dimension where money works for you 24/7 while you sleep, travel, or play. Ignore them, and no amount of side hustles, salary increases, or lucky lottery tickets will ever make you truly wealthy. The choice, as Socrate Mind says, is brutally simple. Live by the laws of the 1%, or continue living by the default settings of the 99%. The difference between the 1% and the 99% is not luck, not education, not connections, and certainly not inheritance for the majority of self-made ultra-wealthy. The real difference is a ruthless, non-negotiable daily system that Socrate Mind has reverse-engineered from hundreds of billionaires, decamillionaires, and world-class performers. He calls it the conscious millionaire routine, an operating system for life that turns ordinary hours into compound wealth, energy, and influence. This is not a nice-to-have morning ritual. It is the actual factory that manufactures the 1% day after day, 0.4:50 a.m. alarm. The day begins before the world wakes up because the 1% refuse to let the world set the agenda for their mind. 5:00, 6 a.m. Silence, meditation, and vivid visualization. The very first hour belongs exclusively to the subconscious. No phone, no news, no noise. 10 minutes of complete silence, 20 minutes of deep breathing or guided meditation, and 30 minutes of cinematic visualization. They don't just think about their goals. They step into the future version of themselves in full sensory detail. The smell of the private jet leather, the sound of their children laughing in the new house, the exact feeling of signing the 8-figure deal. Neuroscience confirms this programs the reticular activating system to spot opportunities the conscious mind would miss. This is why the same person who never sees opportunities suddenly sees them everywhere after 30 days of this practice. 6:00, 7 a.m. Intense physical training. Millionaires do not exercise to look good on Instagram. They train like professional athletes because a weak body creates a weak mind. High-intensity interval training, weights, cold plunges, sauna, whatever raises heart rate and releases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. A body that feels invincible creates a mind that acts invincible. Energy is the real currency of the 1%, and they generate it deliberately every single morning. 7:00, 7:30 a.m. High-level learning. 30 sacred minutes of consuming only the best material on earth. No podcasts while driving, no audiobooks at 1.5 times speed during breakfast. Focused pen-in-hand study. Over 10 years, this equals 3,000 hours, more than most PhD programs. They are not learning for entertainment. They are upgrading their internal software on strategy, psychology, negotiation, and wealth creation. 7:30, 8 a.m. Goal review and surgical daily planning. Goals are written in permanent ink and reviewed every single day without fail. Then they choose the exact 3, never more, high-leverage actions that will move the needle the most. Everything else is either delegated, delayed, or deleted. The 1% do not have to-do lists. They have success lists. 8:00 a.m., 12 p.m., first deep work block. 4 uninterrupted hours on the single activity that creates 80% of their wealth. Phone in another room, internet blockers activated, door closed. This is when the book gets written, the code gets shipped, the deal gets structured, the acquisition target gets analyzed. Most people fragment this time into 27 useless tasks. The 1% protect it like nuclear launch codes. 12:00, 1 p.m. Light fuel and strategic conversations. A clean, high-protein meal and 2 or 3 short, pre-scheduled calls or meetings with people who are operating at a higher level. No small talk, no catching up. Every conversation is designed to open doors, generate insights, or create partnerships. 1:00, 5 p.m., second deep work block or mastermind meetings. Another 4-hour creation sprint, or 2 to 3 times per week, in-person meetings with mentors, peers, or teams who are ahead of them. The 1% understand that proximity is power. They pay any price to spend time with people who have already achieved what they're chasing. 5:00. 6 p.m. Daily audit. 15 minutes to answer 3 questions in writing. What did I learn today that makes me more valuable tomorrow? Where did I fall short of my standard, and how will I correct it? Which of today's actions move me measurably closer to my 10-year vision? This brutal honesty is what separates those who drift from those who compound. 6:00. 8 p.m. Soul-nourishing time. Family dinner with phones banned, playing with children, long walks with a partner, playing an instrument, charity board meetings. Anything that reminds them wealth without meaning is poverty in disguise. The 1% no burnout is the tax paid by people who forget why they wanted money in the first place. 8:00. 9 p.m. Final learning sprint. One more focused hour of reading or studying. Often lighter material, biographies, philosophy, history, that expands perspective rather than pure tactics. 9:00 p.m. Digital sunset and sleep preparation. Blue light blockers, magnesium, gratitude journal, 10-minute stretching, lights out by 9:30 to 10 p.m. 8 to 9 hours of sleep is non-negotiable because tomorrow's deep work depends on tonight's recovery. This is not a suggestion. This is the actual operating system running behind the scenes of almost every self-made billionaire Socrate Mind has ever studied. They do not work harder. They work with surgical precision on the activities that matter while the world wastes time on notifications and Netflix. They understood long ago that wealth is first a state of mind, second a set of daily habits, and only third a collection of financial strategies. Master your 24 hours the way the 1% do, and your bank account has no choice but to follow. Master your mind, master your day, and you master your destiny. Everything else is just noise.